Welcome to this edition of the Open Camera Slider project. So in this episode, as promised in prior, I finally finished the build of the motorized slider unit. So what we have here is 500 millimeter 20 by 20 maker rail, and we have a bunch of 3D printed parts. Now the basic sled is the one I've used, you've seen in other videos, with the 608ZZ bearing right here. And then so I've got 4 of those, but in this one I've also added a worm drive motor, a DC 12 volt 10 inch per minute worm drive motor for torque. Now I went with the DC motor over top of, say, a stepper motor because I needed or wanted a little bit more simplicity and power drive. So with that worm gear, it gets right down there power wise, so I can go at a pretty slow speed without a stall. I've got a 3D printed gear here that I use to drive a GT2 belt, I believe. I've got a 608ZZ bearing back here, which I utilize for an idler pulley, and then obviously 3D printed surround with standoffs, and very similar to the standoffs and surrounds I used in this, and you can see these in prior videos on the channel. So it actually works pretty good. I've got a controller over here. Now I wanted to show this before I boxed it up. So in short, it's got a switch, so either left, right, or off, and then a potentiometer to control the speed. So in short, what we do is I've got a small camera set up here, and then what we'll do is get that out of the way, and then as I push the button, it moves in one direction, and I can speed it up or I can slow it way down with the potentiometer. And it maintains, in short, kind of a unified torque because of the worm drive, which is nice over top of that of the stepper motor. And it puts out a lot of torque, so it really can pull along quite a bit of weight. And, you know, again, I can pan it back just by flipping the switch, and I can control the speed. Now I'm gonna incorporate the electronics into a small box. But this actually fits in the hand very nice and can, you know, provide some nice control. Now, one of the things I spoke about in a prior video when I developed these feet is these can be bolted onto like a piece of 1x board, and that's what I intend to do, is bolt these to a piece of 1x and then provide a mounting in the 1x in the center to actually connect this to a tripod, so I can elevate it and you know, get a little bit more latitude out of utilizing it for different scenes. And so I just got this down here to, you know, as a test photograph subject, so I can pan across this in macro mode and that kind of stuff with the video from the camera. Actually works out pretty good. So the general cost for this is sub 50 bucks. This was sub 20 for the controller, which is actually way overkill. This can do a whole lot bigger motor, but it was cheap, it was easy. Got the built-in switch, got the potentiometer, got the speed control, all in one package. So I think this is like around 12-15 bucks. The motor was like around 11-12 bucks. Geared DC motors I've already shown. The GT2 belt and the rail. Now I'm utilizing the cleats, just regular maker rail cleats here. These are all 3D designed plates and brackets, so I'll have all this out on Thingiverse, so if you want to download these pieces and build your own, you can. I've just simply modified this version of the sled to receive stanchions and utilize some like 2-inch number 6 bolts, and then have a bit of a stanchion here that bolts on top and holds these, and then I just use zip strips to hold it tight, fold the belt back on itself, tighten them down. So all in all, for you know, sub $50 for a slider, this has come out really well. The pieces too is it's a bit universal, because if I want to go longer, say I want to utilize something longer than 500 millimeters, I can take 1,000 millimeter maker rail length and add this to it, and boom, I have that. I can also create sort of different versions of this without the feet. Say I want to go a 20 by 40 piece of maker rail for more rigidity and a different type of mount. You know, I can do a cross mount with it where I take maker rail. Let me see. Because I could take another piece of maker rail and in turn instead of having these, I could mount it on top of this maker rail to give a bit different depth, and I can raise it up. I can do all kinds of stuff with the maker rail, which is what's really cool about this the stuff. Because one of the things I'm going to modify probably here shortly is the rig which I'm photographing from above, which is made out of PVC tubing, and you can kind of go back on the main channel, DIY3DTech.com, and you can see it that I built it there. I'm going to build it out of maker rail, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a system like this above to control it, so I can do panning when I'm doing these type of videos, so I can move it across the range here rather than just being static up there. So kind of look for that build in the future. So anyways, hey, I promised you guys a motorized version of this. I've delivered on it, so hopefully you give me a thumbs up. I definitely appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot more of this kind of stuff coming up. Also check me out on Thingiverse and follow over there. Also have an Instagram channel for the main channel, DIY3DTech.com. And as always, if you have any questions, hit me up below. We'll definitely try to answer them. I also have a complete part list below if you're interested in building this, where you can get links where you can get all this stuff that I use. So, hey, thumbs up, cheers, see you in the next video.
Please click like below and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all of our projects.